How's everybody doing this evening? I want to talk a little bit about Donald Trump and his misunderstanding of civil law, civil prosecution, and federal law, federal prosecution. Trump has no idea the difference between the two. I have a feeling that Trump has always been on the civil side of any kind of litigation. I don't know if he's ever been charged with any kind of crime, federal or state, but he doesn't seem to understand the distinction between the two. You know, in the civil cases, you know, dealing with the Russians isn't going to be a crime, because dealing with the Russians in a business deal is civil. Dealing with the Russians in government is a crime. And so Trump doesn't understand that distinction. He doesn't understand the difference between civil and criminal law. He doesn't understand the difference between civil and governmental accounting. He doesn't understand that there's two ways. These are two different things entirely two different things. See, in Trump's world, he's a businessman, in which everybody gives, oh, Trump was going to be a wonderful president because he's a businessman. He's an awful president because he's a businessman, because he doesn't understand the federal system. He doesn't understand the things he does. I mean, I heard him the other day say, you know, if we don't get this wall, we're going to be the obstructionists. I mean, you're just like, you listen to this guy and you're going, oh my God, how can he even say that kind of stuff? We're going to obstruct, meaning we're going to go in and we're going to obstruct justice. We're going to obstruct the process. We're going to be the obstructionists. He doesn't realize that's a crime, and that's a word that raises people's attention to them actually colluding and committing a crime. Trump doesn't get any of that. He doesn't get the difference between federal and civil law. In civil law, you don't have constitutional protections. In federal law, you do. In federal law, your constitutional protections come under the fact that the state is coming after you. So as an individual, you've got to have strong protections against the federal government, because if you don't, the state has power to tax. They have unlimited power with the pocketbook, and they can come after individuals. So individuals get a little bit better deal because they have their constitutional rights. Not so in civil cases. You know, in civil cases, somebody can come after you, and they can, you can do a lot more things that you can than you do in criminal cases. And see, Trump still thinks he's in the civil world. He still thinks he can make deals with the Russians. He still thinks that he can operate his hotels. He still thinks he can bring his children in, and he can have all these, insider deals with all these people to make him money, to sell his hats and do all this stuff, because he doesn't understand federal law. And he doesn't understand that's, in federal law, that's a crime. In his business world, in his business, that's just, and he says this all the time. He says crazy shit. Like, he says stuff like, this is good for the Coast Guard with the hurricanes. They're getting good publicity. Like, they're a brand. Like, the U.S. Coast Guard is a brand, and the fact that they're getting a lot of publicity because of these hurricanes, that's like selling the Coast Guard. Oh, they're doing really well. They're being sold. It's not a brand. It's a branch. It's a government agency. It's the U.S. Coast Guard. It's not your fucking business, Donald. It's not, not like you come into the president of the United States, and now you got all these businesses, and, you're always happy to, think something's going on out there that's going to, help your brand, help the Coast Guard. He does this stuff constantly. And my only conclusion from it is he doesn't get it. Nobody sat down and explained to him the difference between federal and civil rules, the federal laws and the civil laws. He just does not understand them. He does not understand them. This guy is completely ignorant to federal and civil differences as far as the law is concerned. He just doesn't get it. He's just totally ignorant. And ignorant at the expense of the American people, because you got a guy that thinks he can come in and he can fill his pockets by holding this position, and it's not going to be illegal. He can come in and do all kinds of crazy shit that he's doing, and it ain't illegal, because he doesn't understand the difference between federal law and civil criminal law. So anyway, the guy needs to have somebody sit down and explain it to him. I think a first-year law student could probably get that through to him. He always talks about how he went to the best schools. We went to the Wharton School of Business, and he went to the best schools, and he's smarter than anybody else in the room. Well, dumbass, you're not smart enough to know the difference between federal criminal law and civil law. Somebody's needed to explain that to you. Like I say, any 19-year-old first-year law student could tell you that. The difference between the two. Just take criminal law. Just take criminal law, buddy. first-year criminal law and law school teach you the difference between civil law and criminal law and the protections that you have with the criminal law that you don't have with civil law. So just, come on, fucker. Fucking asshole, because he just won't fucking do anything anybody says. He's his own fucking person, and he just fuck you as far as the laws and rules are concerned, and people let him by with them. But we'll see what happens in the future. Thanks for watching.